this institution of the truth and moved it into a pagan, ritualistic new thing, basically, because all the pagan religion, their holidays, their practices, and I say pagan, and if you understand what pagan means, it's just very occultic, very focused on witchcraft, and whatever. This has been going on forever, since Babylon, since before then. You read the Old Testament. And anyways, like Christmas and everything, all these holidays that people supposedly practice for the Lord, for Yeshua, have nothing to do with him, and we're just absorbed into this new faith, this big molding pot, this way of throwing everything together to make a new religion, because it was the thing. Constantine was a very pagan man. He held on to his pagan gods way after, until his death. If you study, you got to study this stuff. But anyways, and I'm getting way into this stuff. I'll just go ahead and start reading what John had wrote, because in the King James Version, those guys who mistranslated some certain things purposefully because they were either forced to or they were taught that way themselves, those guys were, in their own right, were great guys, because they really, the Lord had to really help them get the Scripture translated, and God still uses that in a very great effect, because, for most of our lives, He gives us the best tools that we can use, and for many, many years, the King James has been the best tool that English-speaking people can and could use. We're coming into a day with the internet and all these different things, though, where God's finally drawing out, as we study the King James, and finding deeper resources, because we have connections with all these people around the world. And there's the one thing that I'm probably not going to read from is what's called the interlinear Greek, and it has a certain, that's the kind of name it goes by, but it's, if you can go to Scripture, the number 4, all.org, which would be Scripture for all, remember the number 4.org, and you can download this thing. And these guys, whomever did this, transliterated or translated the Greek directly into English. In terms of it's not constructed like the King James, where they totally reformatted the word structure. And it's kind of, King James is still somewhat Old English, although letters have been changed for modern day. But God, even with the Old English translation of King James, God has, through His Spirit, if we have His Spirit, can make that work to 100% fullness and give us the knowledge, because that's how God is. But this Greek interlinear version takes you a little bit deeper, and actually in the Old Testament, the New Testament was written the version we have today was translated from the Greek version, and the Old Testament obviously was Hebrew, and they take all those words and directly translate them. If you look at it, it's going to look crazy, but if the Spirit of God again uses you, then you can actually read it and it flows. It flows, and it gives you more depth of knowledge, because you understand that the Lord, Lord capitals in the Old Testament, was always His real name that they had covered up. His name was Yahweh. But I'm going to take this into the third version I've just actually recently discovered. It's from the Aramaic New Testament, which only on this, what I'm reading here from Peshitta, I don't know exactly how you say it, .org, PESHITTA.org. It's translated from the Aramaic, which is I guess it's kind of at the time was a more modern, or a different type of Hebrew. It was kind of more formed, there was added things into it. I can't explain it. It was a more modern version, I guess, of Hebrew. And so these people have had this for a long time over there, and this guy translated, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I think Acts, which Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is not how you pronounce their names in Hebrew as well. It's called Yuchanan, and this is John. And so I'm going to go ahead and read it before I waste all the time in this day. Now, I'll put up these images on there so you can follow me. It says, and Yeshua spoke with them now again. And he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will walk not in darkness, but he will find for himself the light of life. The Pharisees said to him, concerning yourself, you do testify, your testimony is not true. And Yeshua answered to them, even if I do testify concerning myself, my testimony is true, because I know from where I have come, and to where I go. But you do not know from where I have come, nor to where I go. And he's like, there's a word here that's you.